Hello there. In this video, I'll be creating some of these smoke and steam effects on this map here. So we've got this fog rolling over the whole map and some steam coming out of these vents in the street. I'll be making use of Photoshop, mainly to create the rolling fog, as well as Piskel to create the steam effect. And I'm not going to go over in any real detail how to do this in RPG Maker, because there's already quite a lot of material available that covers that, and there are a lot of different ways to do this. So this video is mainly going to be about creating the art assets. So for the rolling fog effect, I started off with this oil painting I did, and you could just as easily use a photograph of clouds that you take yourself. So I'm cleaning it up a bit, and I've desaturated the image. I'm boosting the contrast here. And as I zoom in, at least on this texture anyways, because it was painted on a canvas, there's a lot of grain in there. So I'm just going to use the dust and scratches filter to get rid of that. Alright, with that done, I'm going to offset the image and try to create a seamless pattern out of this. So I've got that middle section done now. And after playing around with this and shifting some texture around, I think I've come up with something I like. And here I'm going to adjust the levels a bit. And I want to get a kind of a tritone effect, so the mid-tones will become a bit fatter. I'll still have very prominent lights and prominent darks, but the gray in the middle should really feel thick. And here I'm just focusing on the center a bit more by adding some gradient. So it looks like somehow I accidentally introduced a seam while I was editing, so I'm going to fix that now. So I'm basically happy with the way this fog looks now. I'll save it and test it out. Now I'm using this plugin here, Orange Overlay. Alright, so that's moving way too fast. Probably too opaque as well. So I decided to put the fog in through a plugin command rather than in the info box earlier. This is what I came up with. Alright, so back over to Photoshop. I decided I wanted to tile this pattern vertically as well, so I added some offset, and now I'm shrinking the pattern, and I'm going to add a bit more sort of fractal detail, I guess you could call it. I'm going to try to get rid of some of the repetition, though. And now I'm going to reintroduce some patterns from that bottom layer. There we go, that's looking pretty good, I think. Feels a lot less repetitive. So I added some color to the pattern, and here we have it drifting around without any blending mode going on. Now I'm just going to shift through the different blending modes available. And these are all at 100% opacity, so that's why they look so thick. So for this map, my preference is probably for the second blending mode, just something very, very subtle. And now that I've got that fog going on, let's add some steam coming from these vents. So I'm just placing them with the grid-free doodad plugin. And moving over to Piskel, this is how I made the animation. Just starting off with a very straightforward 3-frame animation, some ovals drifting upwards, and spending some time to connect all of the shapes. Going to add a second layer beneath this first layer, Just trying to very carefully plot the movement of these shapes over the frames. Now, I left this animation as a 3-frame animation. I think I should have added some more frames to this particular animation, and maybe gone for something like 6 frames. So after I've finished with that in Piskel, I'll take this over to Photoshop and apply a few modifications here. So I'm going to add a bit of a gradient for transparency from top to bottom, and then I'll add a half-pixel blur, and that brings us right back into RPG Maker. So when we go to place this animation, probably going to set the blend mode to additive or screen. And in retrospect, looking at this now, I'm thinking that I shouldn't have had the bottom edge of this animation so sharp. And I guess I could fix that in Photoshop by blurring the bottom a bit, or I could have fixed that when I was doing the animation itself by simply having the bottom of the animation rounded. It sort of still does work as I'm putting it on here, but when I'm thinking about putting this animation on that slanted grill further to the right of the map, it's just not going to work. Oh well, mistakes were made. It happens. I hope this was helpful, and thank you very much for watching.